morning and happy Independence Day. Today we're going to do an arts and crafts project and I'm going to show you how we differentiate for different age groups. So this can be done with infants through 5-year-olds, and we're going to look at the different ways that you can incorporate all of the skills that we're learning for all of those different age groups. So the name of the project is called Glittering Fireworks, and the first thing we're going to do is we're gonna look at some toilet paper rolls because we're gonna use these to make our fireworks. Now, for my infants and toddlers that are not cutting yet, I'm gonna pre-cut the bottom and we're gonna practice doing hand over hand stamping for our infants and young toddlers. And our older toddlers, we're gonna talk about color recognition as we make our fireworks. For my older toddlers and my early 3s who are just learning to cut, we're going to use the toilet paper rolls, but I drew lines ahead of time so that they're going to be able to guide their scissors while they're cutting. Now, when kids start cutting, giving them paper can be really tricky because the paper is really thin and it's difficult for them to hold the paper and to use that motion to cut the paper. It often bends or slides and they just get really frustrated. Using a material like cardboard or Play-Doh or cardstock that's a little bit thicker and a little bit heavier is going to help them to develop the muscles that they need to use scissors on paper, which is a skill they're going to want to have when they're going into kindergarten. And it's going to help build their confidence. So they're going to start to feel really good about that skill. For my older kiddos who have really got the hang of cutting, for practice, I'm going to give them the paper towel roll and I'm just going to tell them to cut lines from the bottom to about halfway up the toilet paper roll. Now, the next step we're going to do is going to be our paint base. And I call it a base because if you want to add glitter to anything that you paint, you have to add a specific step. So I'm going to use my red washable paint. I'm going to put a generous amount on there and we're going to be stamping, so you might need a little bit more than you typically would use. And then we're going to add glue. It can be clear glue, it can be white glue. I'm just going to mix it all together. And it doesn't really change the color and it will dry clear, so you'll get that nice bright red color. We have red, our white, and our blue. So with my infants, I'm going to go hand over hand and I'm going to talk about identifying the colors that we're using. And I do think for this project, black construction paper works best because it looks like fireworks in the night sky. So we're going to go hand over hand with our infants and young toddlers and we're going to say red, 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 and we're going to spin it around and we're going to talk about what it looks like. What's happening to the toilet paper tube? It's turning red. And then hand over hand, we're going to stamp our fireworks onto our paper. Okay, so it's going to give us that bright firework look. With our older toddlers, we're going to teach them how to pull back the pieces of the toilet paper roll that they have cut. We're going to talk about what we see happening. When we made the cuts, what happened? Does it stay together? Does it pull apart? A big part of early childhood education is having this ongoing conversation that's building vocabulary about the things they see happening around them. And then we're going to do the same thing, only we're not going to go hand over hand. We're going to tell them, all right, dip your firework into the paint, swirl it, dip, swirl. Anytime you can add extra vocabulary words that applies to what they are seeing and experiencing, they're going to benefit from it. And then we're going to instruct them to stamp their firework to their paper. And it's okay if they go all on top of one another. It's okay if they mix the paint around. There's nothing wrong with that. The most important part of doing these activities with your early childhood student and your kiddos that are birth to 5 is the experience and the process that they're using to create. And now we're going to let our big kids who have cut all of their toilet paper rolls up completely independently go ahead and dip and spin and stamp onto their firework paper. Now, remember, they're just beginning to cut. So even though they've mastered cutting, their little sides of their firework, they may not be perfectly even. That's okay. It's the process, not the product. So we're going to dip, dip, dip. And we're going to stamp the firework onto our construction paper. Here is another area where you're going to want to differentiate. With infants and toddlers, we don't want that to get on their hands and in their mouths. So we're going to open the glitter for them, and we're going to hand over hand just sprinkle with them. Ooh, look, the shiny glitter is falling on your fireworks. That's so beautiful. With our older toddlers, we're going to allow them to use their fingers, and we're gonna let them use those pincher fingers, so we're working on those fine motor skills. And they're gonna sprinkle, 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 sprinkle. And with our older preschooler students, we're gonna allow them to sprinkle their own glitter. Now, if you have a big jar like this and you don't have a smaller shaker, my pro tip is to add a piece of tape so only one hole will allow the glitter to come out, so you don't get a giant mess, but they still are getting the action and the independence of decorating and sprinkling their own fireworks. And now we've created beautiful glittering fireworks with all of our children. Everyone's been able to participate. I hope you enjoy. Hope you have a safe and happy Independence Day from all of us here at Funnydaffer.